Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's the end of the summer, and I know so many people are on vacation, and so many people are just kind of out and about and just hectic. So I really, really appreciate everybody being on tonight and whoever is also watching the recording. I don't know if y'all recognize where I am. Put it in the chat. I'm not going to tell y'all, but this is somebody's house that is on our team. So if you recognize her background all the time, put it in the chat. Anyways, so we are, can't tell y'all where I am because it's going to give it away, but we're almost home. No, it's not. No, Becky's on our
I'm in a hotel room. I hope she's not here.
No, not with Becky. It's somebody on our team, like on my personal team. But anyways, we will be home tomorrow, y'all. We're so excited. This has been an absolutely phenomenal trip. Still have gotten a lot of work in. Yes, Colleen. I'm at Colleen's house. We are staying with them tonight. Our kids have been, yes, I'm in Texas. Our kids have been swimming, and Colleen just got home from work, and so we're gonna hang out for a while tonight. And they're in there making dinner right now. Anyways, so she'll be in here in a second. She just literally walked in the door. So let's get started. I am super, super excited to have our special guest on tonight. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but the theme for July, your leaders, your bronze and above leaders, and I, at the end of every single month, we get together. So tomorrow we are getting together actually over Zoom to plan our following month. Okay. So if there's anything that you want to hear, any type of training that you want your team to be trained on or you to be trained on, please send me a private message or your closest bronze ambassador a private message, and we will be more than happy to take it into consideration for the month of August or months following it and see how we can kind of wrap it into what we're doing. But this month, before we even actually knew that they were coming out with the 50%, we actually decided this was our month to really focus on customer volume. So if you notice, the first week was bulk sales. Somebody asked about that recording. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am really bad. When I am not recording on my computer, I forget to upload them. And I was actually at Renee Lamb's house recording that one. So it was to my cloud, and I do need to get it uploaded. No, it is uploaded. I just need to put it on our Rise Up page. So I'll do that. Anyways, so the first week was bulk sales. Second week, we ended up actually not doing anything. We had the call. I can't remember what we did. There was something. Oh, it was talking about what was going on at Equity Council, remember? And then last week we had our very own Nicole Gorgon, who is top and preferred customers, come on and share. And then this week we are going to wrap it up with Miss Becky DaMoude. And what she is going to talk to us about, y'all, this sister, she has like 3,000 to 4,000 in customer volume every single month. She is a silver ambassador here at Q Sciences. She is always at every single one of our conventions that we have been to since she has been in this company. She is always receiving the award for top customer volume in the entire company. It is absolutely huge. So she is going to share with us tonight how we can elevate our customer volume, get it going, whether you only have 100 in customer volume every month or whether you already have 2,000 in customer volume, how to be able to continuously make that grow, but the value of customers and how eventually those long-term customers you can convert into very successful, loyal ambassadors as well. So Becky is from Nebraska, and she is a mama of 3 boys. She is a silver ambassador here at Q Sciences. One of her kiddos is a special needs child, and she joined Q Sciences because of not only the business opportunity, but how the products were going to be able to greatly positively impact her family, especially her sweet boy Clay. So she is a dear friend of mine. We collaborate in all of the things, and I am super excited to be able to welcome her. Becky, thank you so much.
Katie, thank you so much. It is so good to be here. So, I love to talk customer volume. I could talk all day because it's one of my near and dear. I mean, like Katie mentioned, I did join when I saw the business opportunity, but really it was the product that got my attention. As Katie mentioned, my youngest son does have special needs, and I'm always on a mission to find something to constantly improve the quality of his life. And so he kind of hit a plateau. He's 9. He does have cerebral palsy, verbal praxia, different things. And so we kind of hit a standstill. And so I was like, what am I going to do? And so when Kalina had shared, the products and things, that got me fired up about the what if. And that's really where it became. So many people think that you have to have a story before you can share. Wrong. No, you do not, because there are so many people that have a story, but even if you don't know their story, I had so much hope. And what if this was the missing link for Clay? And what if I didn't do this for him? How could I, as a mom, not try this? It's a 30-day empty bottle money back guarantee. What if this was the missing link that I was looking for? And that's really where I just ran out the gate. I started telling everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I went executive, you guys, before we even had our products, and I was already getting customers because of excitement. You have to have that excitement and that belief in the product, belief in yourself, belief in the company, because people can smell when you're nervous or you're hesitant. They're like, well, you try it first and then tell me how it works. Well, if you go out with excitement and maybe you lose that excitement because we all get rejected, and then there's the comparison and the self-doubt, and you're like, what if? Go back from the day you very first joined and that excitement, find that excitement. But what I always say is, what if I don't tell somebody about this? And I was just telling Katie, I'm at our teammates convention. It started in Nebraska with our Husker football coach, but teammates is a mentoring program for mentors and mentees in our school system. And even today, they talked about this is our 30th year that we're doing this, and we've impacted, I think they said, over 12,000 lives of just children have been through the mentoring program. And they said, don't look at that as a number. Never look at your dashboard. Never look at a sale as a number. That it is each life that you're making a difference and that impact. Those 12,000 kids who have came through our program, those are a life that we're impacting. So think of it that same way, that it's not a number. It's what if you don't tell them? Are you really a good friend? And I will sometimes say that, like, hey, I've got something. This may or may not be what you're looking for, but I don't feel like I'd be a good friend if I didn't at least tell you about that. So that belief and that excitement is going to it's infectious to people. And then they're like, what is going on? But being a product of the product. So getting that story, and it doesn't mean that you have to take every single product, but being a product of the product and doing those different things, that is going to help you gain that story. Even if it's the sleep spray, you don't have to know every ingredient. You don't have to be taking every single product, but if there's that one product that impacts you, think of how many more people need that one product or can relate to your specific story. And so then just being consistent, I think that's the biggest thing, is being consistent every single day, even if life gets in the ruts and the bumps and the whatever, being consistent. And so I feel for myself every single day, it's like, I just try to be consistent, or I tell people, if life happens and you have to take a break, take care of the people that you do have. So in that retention aspect, you only have 1 or 2 customers, you have to take care of them every single month. From the time, I know I watched Nicole's call, that the minute you get them, we're not in the business where you just sold them like a Pampered Chef chopper and said, thanks for your purchase. Like, this is where you are going to be checking in with them. You are going to be asking them, how are they doing on the products, and asking those just key questions. And so with our daily IPAs, is instead of income producing activity, it's really that impact. Who am I going to make an impact with today? Who can I make an impact or make a difference in somebody's life by sharing this product, sharing the business, whatever it might be, and just listening to the cues. If you see them constantly posting on social media about their anxiety, they didn't sleep well, they're stressed out all the time, sometimes I'll just say, gosh, like, I'm so sorry you aren't sleeping well. Is that something you have dealt with in a long time? Or, hey, want to be there as a great friend? Can I say a prayer for you? Like, is there something going on? Whatever, trying to figure out. But a lot of times I'll say, like, have you ever tried supplements before? Are they currently taking supplements now? Because if they are, sometimes you'll find out they're taking all these things, but they still have 50 other things happening. So it's like, if you can even help them simplify of saying, hey, I don't know if you'd want to swap this out for 30 days and try this, or if they're taking multiple different things, maybe there's just one product that they need. And so it's kind of asking those different, key questions, and sharing those third-party tools. We all know the third-party validation, whether it is connecting them to something, sending them more information, but not feeling like you have to be the expert. I think, for, Katie and I were in a previous project together, and we felt like we had to know every ingredient, know all the details, and then you just throw up and vomit. Like the minute somebody messages you and they're like, hey, what's that? And then you're like, oh, they want to know more. So you send them all this junk and you just puked over, and then they're like, delete, never mind. And so it's more of like, well, what piqued their interest? Did they see you post about something? What got them excited? Is it something, we can't just assume it's for them. Is it a family member? Is it their friend? And again, asking like, how long have they dealt with that, to find that pain point of what's it going to do to make a difference. And I know one of the big things that people say is, well, the cost objection, or they can't afford it. Well, ask if they could improve one thing, what would it be? If it's getting a better night's sleep, which then leads to more energy, less stress, whatever it is, what's one thing that they can start with? Because we all know our products work. And if you start with one thing and they notice, then they can go to the next thing. So it doesn't always have to be the whole Q core. I mean, yeah, we all know how amazing that is, but maybe it's just that they need the probiotic to go to the bathroom every day, or it's the sleep spray. But I think it's telling those different stories, and it doesn't have to be your own. And so, learning everybody's different stories. That's why I love the Living Quintessentially page of all the different stories that you can just be like, hey, like, I would love for you to check out my friend's story. Can I want to add you to this page. You can go check it out. You can add your, are they struggling with anxiety? They can go search that, or if you know a certain person's testimony in that page, we all know how to add, tag, and message them, and adding them and letting them see that information for themselves. Because sometimes it does take other people for them to hear, no matter how many ways we say things. And then the two types of customers, I don't ever share retail. Never. I'm cheap. I'm the garage sale Goodwill girl. I don't pay full price for nothing. So when I'm talking to people, I'm like, you can get the same wholesale price as me. And I never, ever give anybody my website until they're ready to order. They want to look at something, I will send them to qsciences.com. But I always tell my team, never give your personal website to anyone till you've decided and helped them decide what they want to start with. And then you can walk them through that process. So I always tell them, guess what? I want you to get my cost on our products. You can get the same price for $10 for the whole year. And I also break it down. Like if they're going to order the hemp, most people will say, well, I just want to order one time. I just want to start one time. Well, great. Did you know our hemp is $79.95? You add $10, that's $89.95. Still cheaper than retail at $95. So sometimes breaking that down, or combos. I'm a numbers geek. So I'm constantly like, I just had a gal that was like, well, I think I want to try the Q Max and the Align. And I was like, okay, listen, you can get the whole Q Core for $135. Or they were like, I want Q Max, Q Align, and Women's Vitalized. And I was like, well, guess what? You can get the Sport and the probiotic for X amount. And I break that whole combo down where it's like almost a $300 value for $175. And I always tell them, you're getting the Sport free, you're getting the sleep spray, the B12, like depending on what, like if they're wanting Q Core or Sport, I'm like, great, you get the Women's Vitalized for free, or the men's. So that's another way you can kind of upsell into your bundles. And same thing with the Q core with the hemp combo. Yes, do we get more PV, so to speak, customer volume, if they buy it separately? But I'm always like, guess what? You can get the hemp for $40. So you can always kind of, get them to trying those new products. So it's always kind of listening to their needs, but I also break down the prices for them as far as that goes. Now, Katie talked about like retention. How do I retain these customers or, take care of them? I loved Nicole's tip about sending that welcome email and telling them like, thank you for what they're supporting. I loved that idea. I had not personally dug into the deep of like what they are supporting and thanking that, but it is key to keep following up with them every single month. Or if they come out with a new product, letting them know. Right now I'm reaching out, asking them if they want to be a VIP for the new collagen that's coming out and another surprise product, kind of a thing. And believe it or not, as busy as everybody's been this summer, I've even sent this to past customers who haven't ordered in a long time and ambassadors. And so many of them are like, oh yeah, definitely let me know. But I've also been meaning to order XYZ. And it just kind of reminds them, yeah, I do need to do that because they just get busy. And so, or I'll say, well, what's been going on? Like, how have things been going? Because we do have so many new things that sometimes letting them know when those things come out, I think is another thing for that. So like Katie mentioned, the other big thing is some of those loyal customers become your best ambassadors to where they may start out and they don't always, they're like, I don't want the business, like the business part just scares them. So sometimes it's just asking them like, hey, I know you love these products. I know you have an amazing story. Who do you know in your family that might need these products? Or who could we share these products with? Because when I first started, we had the Care and Share program and our customers could even earn Care and Share. And so I had a ton of customers who did not want the business, but they wanted to share with their friends and family to get their products free. So that was one way. And I still do the same thing. As I'm still talking to them, like almost like you're asking for referrals, but it's more of like who else in your family could use these products. And so if they don't want the business, that is a way that you can get referrals. And then sometimes what I do is I give them a free product. I give them like a free spray of their choice if they refer people to me. So you can do things like that too. Where I've ran different things for, my customers, kind of a loyal customer program where I'll reach out to them and ask them, kind of that question as I'm following up, is there somebody? And then I'm like, if they do, I might say, I'm running a customer appreciation special this month. And if you can think of people and we get a referral, that kind of thing, then you might give them a, 7-day sample of maybe Sport or, Twist, or you give them a spray of choice. So the other thing that I do is like, I think you guys talked about like more of the bulk sales that you can do the bulk aspect, but you can even do where we have those people on the fence all the time, right? Or they say they're going to order. Sometimes what I've done is I will tell them I'm putting in like a one-time bulk order and I private message them. And I'm like, I'm putting a bulk order in. And that's been a way where I've gotten a lot of customers because they may then get that sleep spray. They may get a bottle of hemp. They may get a roller ball. They may get whatever it might be, a sleep spray. But then we all know once they start using it, then they'll reorder. And I just tell them, like, I don't carry inventory, but I do every so often do a bulk order. And then I tell them, great, when you get ready to reorder, I'll help you set up and they can order it that way. So that has been, ways that you can kind of get new people started for the customer aspect. And it kind of falls back to, we talk about lead with the business all the time. And a lot of times we get panicked when you reach out and then people are like, interested. And we go, okay, well, then sometimes I'll ask them like, hey, if I send you a quick recording, would you be willing to watch it? Maybe there's somebody that who's looking for something or struggles with XYZ. And if you already know they struggle with a certain thing, you can put that, like you can hit that specific button, because then they're like, oh, you have something that helps that. And then they'll start asking more questions too, because so many people think like, oh, I don't need that, or no, I would never do that. But then if you kind of hit their pain point that a specific thing, then I'll be like, hey, if I know somebody really struggles with anxiety, I might be like, well, if somebody, that struggles with anxiety or, some sleep issues or things like that, then you can then they're like, oh, well, what do you have? So it's kind of like you can kind of put the ball back in their court and almost like asking for that referral aspect. Let's see, what else do I have on my notes? Trying to think if there was anything else I had. Does anybody have, Katie, do you have any specific questions about anything specific, or anybody else too? I was trying to.
So if you have a question, you can either unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. But I have a question while people are thinking of other things. Excuse me, y'all. Shut the door, John. So how often do you post on social media, one, about Q Sciences, but two, what do your posts look like as far as customers, product related, and a mixture of the business? Can you?
So I wouldn't say I'm one that plans them out. It's kind of whatever's happening that day. I will say that it is way easier for me personally to post about products than it is about the business. Katie knows that like the money aspect is hard for me, that's a hurdle I'm working on. Being in the little town, we live in a little town of 500 people that my husband grew up in. So my husband's always like, why do you have to post? I'm like, ugh. So it's like trying to get past that. So if you have, not that he's not a supportive spouse, but he's always like, why do you have to talk about the business? I'm like, because that's what I do, but I do put a lot of polls in my stories that I've had to learn. I don't know how to do reels, you guys. I am not an Instagram person. I'm not a real big social media person, but I do try to pick like even once a week. And whether it's a product, I'm spotlighting a specific product, but I usually try to tell a story with one of my kids, or myself, or using the product versus like just a graphic. I used to be one that used to puke graphics, and I swore to myself I would never do that again. So I try to do it with a specific story. So whether it's with my son Clay, with my 12-year-old not struggling with his, being able to like taking a picture of him, being able to focus, using those. But I would say the polls in my stories gets more conversation starters than comments. And I don't know if it's because certain people, sometimes people don't want to comment. But I also have done some where I don't do it a lot, but like, as far as like a sample, like I might be putting samples together, or if I have a certain thing, it might be about samples and I'm going to sample, 10 people or whatever. At least they're conversation starters that I have done before, but I try to do a kind of a combination mix of the business and products both. So.
Okay, so going to polls then. When you do polls, what I have found is a lot of times when I do polls, people will comment on them, but then they'll say, oh, well, I didn't mean to, or not comment, but they'll like select something and they're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. How do you respond and reply to those people?
I just had a couple of those this last week, but it struck up a conversation and I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. I'm like, so, tell me, how are things going with the summer? Like I start asking them questions and then I'm like, because clearly they clicked on something, whether they meant to or not. And so then I'm like, so if it was like the sleep spray, I'm like, well, just out of curiosity, like, how is the sleep? Like, do you sleep well, or is everybody in your family or whatever? I was like, that has like become a staple in our house. So sometimes instead of just saying, oh, okay, like I'll just see, kind of start a conversation, whether it's just like, how's the summer going? Is it what have they been doing for vacations? Are the kids ready for school if they have kids? So I usually try to start a conversation to see if you can figure out, like, how can you bring this into the situation? Or
Okay.
I'll just say, I don't know if you've ever thought, like, especially if it's been somebody I've not really talked to them, then I'll be like, well, I don't know if you'd be considered, be open to, hearing what's what. So just ask the question. The only thing you can do is say no again, like, oops, I didn't mean to. So
I love that. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does anybody have any other questions?
I know one of the things you wanted me to talk about is the promo.
Yes. So I was going to actually ask you,
Yep.
if you don't mind, on average, what is your average CV each month? Like
you said, I mean, my goal is around that 2,000. Like you said, it's been as high as the 4,000 and 5,000. But it's always, a lot of some of those I've converted into ambassadors as well. But I would say on average that 2,000. So that's always been my goal, is to, have that regardless. I've always been heavier on the customer end than the recruiter end, even though I'm silver. I, have not recruited a ton of people. A lot of my volume, a lot of people on my team, they're customer getters. They're not recruiters. And so that's where you kind of, have to find, there is going to be that comfort level. Some people just, I mean, I know in the company, like they have no customer volume, or they'll be like, oh, I don't even talk about products. And for me, that's like, I'm always like, what? Because that's kind of where my heart falls all the time. I mean, I know that business impacts just as much to our family as, for the income side as the products, but it's okay. And you need to know that, because I backed off. I'm going to tell you all, I mean, to be honest, like I started out the gate and I was a customer getter. I was not growing the team aspect. It was where I felt comfortable. It was my comfort zone to talk about products. And like I said, the business has been something I've had to grow in approaching people about the business. I feel like I can approach any single person on the planet about the product. But it is hard for me to start the conversation about the business aspect. And it's just something that personally, that I'm working on that mindset shift. But just know that, I mean, I just like for myself, I'm like, I'll talk to anybody about product all day long. Samples, you got to have samples with you. I mean, that's just a must. I'm always got samples somewhere. I'm always drinking something, doing something, spraying something. I mean, and my kids are the same way. My kids are walking billboards for my business. Like my son had like the whole track team using hemp and hemp honey sticks, and the track coaches are coming over and they're like, Alex said you have something in your bag that's supposed to help me not be like so grouchy. And I was like, yeah, here. And then like 15 minutes later, they were like, what was that? And I was like, it's the hemp. And we had like every track coach using the hemp. I mean, it's just, my kids talk about it all the time. They're drinking the twist and things like that too. So that's another, so you just need to know, like, you don't like to be successful in this business. It doesn't have to all be necessarily all the recruiting aspect. Yes, that's great. And not saying not to focus on that, but you are going to have those people, their comfort zone is customer getters. And that's still my comfort zone all day long. Katie knows that, for that.
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started, y'all, and there's a lot of people who are on this call right now who are newer, so they don't know that this was an aspect or a part of our business and compensation plan.
Mm-hmm.
But when Becky and I first started, y'all, this is how we trained. You get your 2 people and you get 3 preferred customers, because if you had 3 preferred customers, all with an auto ship on and 300 in customer volume, your products or free.
You're
Your
100
100
auto
is
ship.
to be free. Okay. If you had 3 preferred customers at a minimum, with all of them with auto ships on, and 600 in customer volume, your 200 in personal volume was free. And the reason that they took that away is because nobody was taking advantage of it, period. Like, they were maybe putting out 35,000 in products, free products every single month. Now what they've done is they have given us our rewards program for auto ships. And y'all, every single month they are doing 400,000 in free products.
Yeah. And I would say that, like, that is the other thing too that I share with so many people is our smart ship, because people don't like paying for shipping. That a lot of times that's why they'll be like, can you get it? Or, this and that, I'll go get it somewhere else, like say a local nutrition store or whatever. And so I mentioned, because like we're in the middle of nowhere. We don't have much choices. Like we don't even have a Target. Come on. But so I talk, Joseph thinks that I'm serious. Like I just went to a Target. I'm in Lincoln. I'm like, can we go to a Target? And so, I talk about the smart ship because I don't like to pay for shipping either. So I'm like, for $50, you can get shipping all year long and free product. Like anybody who's placing a manual order, I am constantly messaging them. I'm like, listen, you need to set up an auto ship because you can earn free products and you can get free shipping for smart ship. And so like we are constantly, don't be afraid to talk about auto ships. So many people are nervous because they've gotten burnt, or there's minimums. Like how many are in different shopping clubs when you have to have a minimum in that cart? But explain to them, like, we don't do that here. You can control what you want, when you want. If you just want a sleep spray, then they don't have to pay the $12 or $10 shipping on a sleep spray. Pay the $50, just get a sleep spray every month. They can have full control over that. And so don't be nervous to talk about how awesome our smart ship and our rewards program is, because it's dollar for dollar free too. That's the other big thing, because there's a lot of companies, you might have 800 rewards and you would technically get a sleep spray for free. Well, here you have $400 in rewards, you get $400 in free product. So pointing that also that it's dollar for dollar for what they spend. It's 10% of 100, if it's 100 PV, so they're getting 10% of that, then 15. And so I do kind of have a checklist as well for my customers. So like if you see they're at month, when it switches, first 6 months, 7th month, and they're now earning 15%, I point that out. I'm like, whoa, this month you're jumping from 10% to 15%. And then I remind them, remember, don't ever delete that auto ship, because then that's going to start back over again. And you don't want to lose those rewards points. If they're like message and they're like, hey, I need to delete this, make sure you can tell them how to get in and redeem those points. Because you guys, they will appreciate that, and they will come right back when they're ready to set that back up again. And so many people, then all of a sudden they're like, because I just had somebody redeem, you guys, a husband, wife. He started as an ambassador, and this is when we used to be able to have our husband and the wife as a customer, vice versa. But they had $400 in points that they had no idea they even had earned. And so also kind of, be tracking that and just being like, hey, have you looked how many points you've earned yet? Do you know how excited they are when they actually see they get to redeem those free products? That's another thing that they're super excited. It's like, and so even though, like Katie said, we don't have that program anymore, I still teach my team that. I don't teach, it's not just, yes, we do want to help them get to executive and get those 2 people, but I'm always like focused on who are your first 3 customers we can go get. And so I still follow that same system of the 2 and the 3, because if you can even help them get couple customers, and they start earning that commission, and they even get up to the 500 CV, it gets that next level. But now with this promo, like, with what we have coming, hello, like it's crazy.
I agree. Like, I feel like, so the reason I asked you, Becky, about what your customer volume average, y'all, I mean, it's a no-brainer for her to get that promo. Yeah, it's $1,000. But if you think about it this way, we are business owners, right? And business owners, if you're a boutique owner or own a traditional business, a brick and mortar, you're putting money back into your business every single month, not just $100, not just 100, not just 300, probably close to $1,000+ every single month. Okay. So doing this one time for the next 6 months, being able to get 50% in commission, Becky is going to be making at least $1,000 in customer volume. Like, she's just going to be getting $1,000 in her commission check from customer volume every single month because she invested that first $1,000 up front. Does it make sense? She's also going to get top of the line training from executives and people from the advisory council. She's also going to get, well, she's a silver ambassador, but y'all all know that silver and above get those special liaisons, right? Well, come September, because there are so many silver and aboves, they are switching it to gold and above. But what they're going to do is they're going to have a line for, you won't, like, silver and bronzes won't have their own individual specialized person, but they have their own area that they can call and still do all of the things. So with you purchasing this 50% promo, you're also going to have access to this if you are not a bronze or a silver ambassador for those 6 months as well. And just like she said, what is coming in September, y'all, with this collagen and with the terpenes and several other things that are coming, and y'all, they haven't even said anything yet about, it is going to explode your businesses. Okay. Talking to people about getting on your VIP list to be able to purchase that collagen. And in September, you could also have $1,000 check, just $1,000 just from your customer volume. Okay. Yeah. But let's say that you just have 500 in customer volume. Okay. Because
still $250.
Yeah. You're still getting $250 from that customer volume.
Executive paycheck.
Exactly. So that's amazing, right? And it would pay for itself within a matter of, if you just always kept it, let's say for that $500, it's going to pay for itself in 4 months. And the last 2 months is just extra money in your pocket, right? But more than likely, if you get on a roll and get your customer volume up to 500, it's going to continue to grow over time. Like, it is my goal to always have at least 1,000 in customer volume. So I know mine is going to be paid for in 2 months. Right. So I really, really want you guys to take this into consideration. When it came out last year, they did this last year. I think it was last March, I believe.
Oh,
well, they
did
did
it. Yeah, they did it in March, right when I started. Yes, because I had 4,000 and I was like, that just paid for it in the first month.
Yeah.
But they did it again in June at convention.
Yes, they did it at convention, and they also did it in September too. But in September, it was just for 3 months, I believe.
Right. Yep.
So many of us on my team, we all did it. We all jumped in. A lot of people actually didn't have that customer volume. They didn't even have, they had pretty much like maybe $50, maybe $100 in customer volume. But you better believe that they started focusing on that customer volume in order to be able to get that 50% back. But then what happened is that those amazing customers eventually turned into ambassadors for them as well and helped them with their business. So with that being said, hold on. Are there any? Raquel wants to know, how can we check our customer reward points? Is there a way to do that?
There's not. No. So what I typically have done is, when I'm following up with them, I'll just ask, because I keep track of what they order every single month. So I'm always like, I'm a nerd. I have a spreadsheet. So, and you can actually take your preferred customer report if you have that. But even if you look in your dashboard, so before we had those reports, I just have a spreadsheet for myself that I keep track of what each person orders every single month. So that if I want to send a sample, a lot of times I'll send something that they haven't ever tried. And so then when I'm following up with them, like I know they've ordered every single month, and I'm like, hey, have you checked your rewards points? Maybe there's something you've been wanting to try that you can redeem for free product. So, so we can't personally check their rewards, but yep.
Okay. Are there any other questions before we jump off of here? Okay. Well,
and if you guys have any questions, always feel free to message me. But like I said, I just encourage everybody to ask, have conversations, be aware of what's what. And, and Jake talks about all the time of the sampling. It's an investment in your business. My husband owns his own traditional business. Like Katie's talking thousands. I'm like, oh, I know what he spends every single month. So, it's very minimal to have that investment in there when you look at what you can, of making a difference for somebody.
Absolutely, for sure. Well,
Okay.
friend, thank you so much for
You're
taking.
welcome. Thank you for asking me.
Kind of on a trip. So greatly appreciate it. Guys, if y'all have any questions or if there's anything that you want to see trained on for the month of August, please make sure you're in my inbox before noon tomorrow, letting me know, or any leaders you would like to hear from. Okay. Please let me know and we will make it happen. But thank you all so much for being on. Hope everybody has a great night and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye. Thanks, Becky.